The one thing that always made me happy was playing sports. It was an escape for a little while. I would go to school, hide in a shell a little bit, and then I'd go home and I was a dreamer again. My name is Kobe Funk. This past season, I've been fortunate to work with the Knights and assisting the coaching staff with video and statistics as well as volunteer. It allowed me to experience some things I never thought would be possible inside of hockey. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of knowledge on the coaching aspect of the game and a lot of different things like that. So it's good. I grew up locally here in Vernon. I was raised in northern BC, up in Terrace, until about the age of 7, until I relocated with my family to the Okanagan. Growing up as a kid, most times was challenging. I was often looked at as someone different, and I didn't really understand why. It was a tough time. I had a lot of emotions built up, and I didn't know how to express or deal with the emotions. I wasn't much of a talker. You kind of realize, okay, something's going on, and you realize, you're kind of outside the circle a little bit, and something sets you apart. The realization was I didn't really fit the mold that everybody else did. I was looked at as an outsider, which was tough. I was born premature. I arrived before I was ready, and that resulted in some pretty heavy complications when I was born. I had a lot of trauma. My parents were told by doctors that my future was uncertain and I may never be able to walk or talk. I was diagnosed with the condition of cerebral palsy, which affects my motor control, movement, and muscle function. Due to a brain injury, I suffered a stroke. What followed wasn't easy. I spent many years, many hours in a hospital, a lot of hospital visits, a lot of surgeries, physiotherapy, all to try and make things better. But it was tough. I'd see kids in the summer, all my friends playing in the street and playing hockey, and I was learning to move again. Once you think I knew something, I had to do it again, because a surgery takes you back, and you kind of have to learn all the steps again. So I did that repetitively a lot as a kid. From the place I came from as a boy, I had to, frankly, work on the things that some kids might take for granted. Being able to just walk or put one foot in front of the other in a straight line, or being able to kick a ball or play hockey. Something I never thought I'd be able to do with the circumstances. In school, I dealt with being bullied, belittled, and teased by others. I was devalued by many kids. When I was young, I wasn't much of a talker. I didn't like to speak about my emotions and didn't know how to deal with all that I felt at that time, and would often go into a dark place. But the one thing that always made me happy was playing sports. It was an escape for me a little while. I would go to school, hide in a shell a little bit, and then I'd go home and I was a dreamer again. I always dreamt of being an athlete. I would spend hours in my room idolizing my Canucks poster I had on my wall, or staying up late Saturday nights watching Hockey Night in Canada, pretending to be a hockey player in my Red Team Canada sweater. It's kind of, the game is kind of in the fabric of who we are, and I was no different in that way. It was a long process. There was a stage where I was kind of thinking, my dream was over and was crushed. But then, as a pretty big hockey fan, I knew there was avenues that I could possibly explore outside of the game. There's a lot of things that make the ship run, especially with a pro team or things like that behind the scenes that maybe fans don't know. So I kind of got attracted to that and made a bold move to just chase a dream, really, and the Knights really helped me start that. It's the very beginning for me, and I couldn't ask for a better start. It started with I had a job coach at the time, and we were looking at possible jobs, and my main interest was sports. So my job coach reached out to Dean, and he had previously coached my younger brother in coming up in minor hockey. So he knew of him, he didn't know me, and that we were related, but he figured that out later on. It was pretty funny. He basically said to Dean in an email, my job coach, that I had an interest in learning the ins and outs of the sport, business-wise, or any stories. It wasn't, can you hire me or give me this job? I said, it's just tell me what you know. Tell me your stories. Tell me where you've been. And a guy like that, and how nice he was. I mean, he really put me on, and he said he'd love to help me. So our friendship really grew, and I'm pretty close with him. Yeah, we went out for a coffee and had a chat, and said, you want to come to the next game and meet all the guys? And I was over the moon, delighted. I said, yeah, no problem, I'm there. The first game, I didn't really know what to expect, but then I met all the guys and they were good. It allowed me to feel that team camaraderie that I hadn't really felt growing up as a kid. I did play hockey, but it wasn't for very long, and I didn't really have that atmosphere. So the boys really helped me and brought me in as one of their own. I really felt at home with the guys, just like I was a player. At the beginning, I just was in touch with the ownership and management a little bit to try and knick-knack and see what I could do, but and that was a process. But I eventually did some stuff with watching video and picking apart video with the coaches. So the video sessions I would sit in, and they would tell me what's going on, and they'd ask me what I see, doing some stats for the team up top while the game's on, and that was really fun. Since current world events, I plan to move to the island this September, but I'm going to stick around, and I talked to the coaching staff and the ownership again a couple of weeks ago, and they'd say they love to have me back, so I'd hope to come back next year if we get rolling. I would really want to be a catalyst for change and challenge perceptions and break barriers and be someone that they looked up to and be a role model for them. You can't change your circumstances or the hand you're dealt, but the world is what we make it, and you have a choice. That's really all it is. I mean, the individual has to realize that for themselves and make that choice. And it's tough to see sometimes, but I'm very proud of my story and my humble beginnings. Some people might not know it, and that's okay. You know who you are, and you know what you stand for, and all the good qualities you have as an individual. It starts with a change in yourself, how you carry yourself. It rubs off and shows other people who you are. I think just the mental determination I developed, the grit that I think I have, a lot of it comes down to a mentality. We all have a choice. Each day we get up, and it doesn't matter what challenge you have. You just got to keep above it, and it's a fight, but it'll always be a fight. But I'm much bigger than it. I'll stay on top. I've come to rest with who I am a long time ago, and I've embraced it, and I'll use it to teach now. So that's why I'm here. I have, and I've been very fortunate that way. Actually, a player on the Knights last year, his name is John Kelmikoff. He had a relation to the Winnipeg Jets GM, and passed on my number to him, and we had a chat. So that was great. Really nice guy. We still keep in touch. I text him every now and then throughout this playoff run they had, and he was telling me, how hockey ops on the inside really works, with player tracking, scouting, and all those cool things, how you draft players, the lead up, and his knowledge and all the stuff that goes on, and as a GM, and it was good. I've had connection with the assistant general manager and director of player development for the Tampa Bay Lightning. we knew mutual people in the community, so I asked him if we could chat, and he was more than willing to come out and talk to me. He said to me, I texted him while they're on this playoff run here, and he said when he gets back from the bubble, he plans to go for a coffee with me, so I'm really excited. My next step, hopefully when I get to school and get this going and get some certification while still being involved in the game, I plan to still volunteer at as many levels as I can before I can hopefully get a paid job one day. We'll see. The dream goal for me would be to have a position of some sort in a high-level hockey organization. I don't want to speak too far yet, but we'll see where it ends up. But the dream would be maybe an NHL job. I would pinch myself getting up every day and doing that. That'd be fantastic. I wouldn't be grumpy going to work at all. Just be happy all the time, and it'd be pretty cool. I'd like to extend my thanks to head coach Dean McCammond, assistant coach John Van Horlick, and obviously the ownership, the Keller family, for allowing me to come into their team. It's been a fantastic first experience in the game for me, and one that I'll always remember for sure, and I won't forget. My outlook for the future is to continue with hockey. I never really saw myself doing something else. I wasn't as content doing anything else, and it was always on my mind. So if it could be a part of my life in any facet, I mean, not even if I even don't make it to the pinnacle, I'd still be happy in the game, and love comes first, and I'll always have that for sure.